Video games and learning, two concepts that really seem to go together. However, in recent years, video games, specifically educational games, have come a long way and introduced themselves into the classroom. The book Video Games and Learning shows exactly how serious games can help students become better critical thinkers, invite individual creativity, and most importantly, become active participants in the world. In the book, Square explains that a good educational game is the one that invites players to engage themselves with the content that is being presented. They are not passive learners, and knowledge is obtained through the gameplay. The academic subject that best shows this is sociology. Sociology, as an academic discipline, was established by Emily Durkheim in the late 1800s to early 1900s. It is the study of social behavior based on communication, construction, and the structure of society in general. On the surface, it may seem like a straightforward subject to study. After all, we all live in society. We all know how it works, or perhaps it is that we think we do. Two serious games that can help people learn sociology is the longevity game and social interaction trainer game. Both games have their pros and cons, but essentially they show great potential in how games can become an influential factor. The longevity game is a simple game that takes about a few minutes. It asks players to put in their gender, weight, height, and age. Immediately, when I put this information in, I was shown a visual image of what I look like and what my BMI is. When I put in that I was 5'4" and 154 pounds, I read that I was in the overweight category. Of course, I already knew this, but seeing it on the screen made it seem more real, I suppose. I was then asked to put in information about my family history and whether I smoked or do drugs. For each right thing I picked, I would hear applause. I will only assume that if I did something wrong, I would hear boos. The game was analyzing me to determine how long I would live. Surprisingly, even though I am considered overweight, I am still otherwise healthy. This did not necessarily make me feel better, as I am not really subconscious about my self-body. But it did give me a nice sense of confirmation to know that I was okay. Even though it was short, it is still good for any age group because it can give people a general idea of how to take care of themselves, but also know that everything is not black and white. There are many factors in determining how long you will live. From a sociological perspective, it can teach people how to individually research for themselves and may make them interested in learning about their own well-being. The next game is called Social Interaction Trainer, which was an interesting yet odd team-based game, to say the least. It shows how to interact with people of different statuses in society. The game asks you to choose from cashier, urinal, and transport to start out with. The cashier and transport tabs required me to remain in eye contact with the person with whom I was interacting with, but not for too long as to not seem creepy. It was very frustrating to get it right, but it made me realize just how it is easier said than done to be social with people. Of course, in the urinal, I had to refrain from eye contact so that I would not invade the other person's privacy. The game began to get annoying after a while, so I watched other people play. A couple of people that I watched had difficulty with the coffee tab. This was because it was not clear on how long you are supposed to remain in eye contact with the woman and when you are supposed to alternate your eyes so you are not too intense. When this became successful, it was on to a romantic date and even sex. The requirements here were also to remain eye contact, but it was still unclear on the length of time. It may seem a bit contradictory to put this game as a good game for sociology, but I do think that even though the game has a bit of mechanical issues, it is still a great visual interpretation of what not to do in society. It may seem obvious, but some people still look at another woman's breast or stare too long without even realizing it. The game lets you know of this fact, and it is up to you to change it. If this does not define sociology at its best, I do not know what does. Finally, a serious game based on musical chairs has been conducted. This is actually played physically, but I thought I added to show that serious games do not have to be online, computer, or system-based. An instructor decided to implement the game Musical Chairs in her college freshman classes back in the late 1990s to show how cooperation and competitiveness can change in the blink of an eye. She stated that when the game first started, people were willing to cooperate to help others get in the chairs. But when the stakes were risen, limited chairs, and people had to sit on others' laps, it became more tense, and one person even pulled out a chair from another person, claiming that it was her chair. This shows how people can take something seriously, no pun intended, even if there's no reason to. This game can work with any age group, as it shows what sociology is really all about. It analyzes how people react and respond to social situations. It is also a creative way to introduce the subject by having people actually move their bodies in relation to what they are seeing and observing. Overall, as can be noted, sociology is a diverse subject that can lead to many new and innovative ideas on how to make it fun and engaging. It is my hope that these games can be included in the curriculum, as they each have the potential to make a good difference in the traditional lecture-type classroom. I think Square will be proud.